overpayment, but it hasn't shown up. I'm not sure that that's accurate, so we'll double check with Debbie on that. Number 3, he says the commission cut my office's line for contingencies. We don't allow any department but the commission to have a contingency budget, and that's by instruction from the auditors. That was removed before it was even put in. I mean, it just never should have been done. It lasted 1 year. That money was not taken out, it was put into the rest of his budget under line items that stated what it was for. It was for witnesses, it was for personnel, it was for paper and computers. But to have a line item in any budget for contingencies, we just don't do it. It's really poor management. We've talked to Corey about that multiple times in the past. As far as we do have a plan for a CIP, but unless a department realized their 10% savings, and I'm on second paragraph in number 3, there is no CIP this year because of the reserves. So I don't know what he's getting at there. He doesn't have the 10% saved, and that would be per the formula we've already agreed on and voted on. $100 per full-time employee at 30 hours a week plus, or $50 for part-time. And then number 4, we talked to Corey about infilling the law library from PILT. He, in the actual amount. So that's a wash, that'll be put into his budget aside from the 2% cuts. This was his error. He says here the commission cut it. No, we didn't. He didn't propose that in his budget. That was Corey's, not ours. But it will be infilled to the actual amount this year and go into his budget so that it is not forgotten about in the future and just not have a law library fund anymore. So any questions on that or any argument that we need to, again, if we increase Corey's budget, we need to negotiate increasing everybody's budgets, and we certainly can't freeze anybody's wages. Everybody's overworked, everybody's understaffed. We either pick and choose everybody or we pick and choose nobody. And our priority, again, in my opinion, needs to be solidifying those reserves. We've allowed, as a commission, we have allowed department heads to overspend, and we've got to put a fence up and say no more. And if we don't, we'll be looking at some pretty serious ramifications in the future.
Does he have unspent funds from 17 and 18?
Just his salary that he was overpaid, and he just needs to repay it. Oh, for 18, that would be last year. No, he doesn't. And we have the budget with us. It isn't up to date as to today, but it doesn't show that he has the 10% that was required to be saved. It doesn't show that he has saved it. It does not show he's over budget. That's good.
Well, if he has that, can you not, instead of putting that into contingency fund, can't you put that into wasn't he suggesting to put it into professional services or something?
And so how do you fund, again, he doesn't have it, but what are you suggesting, that because he's asked for it, that he doesn't need to help with the general fund reserves? Because if he doesn't have to, then why should anybody else? All of a sudden, we're still sitting on 0% reserves, which is a huge issue with budgeting.
No, it says that offices can keep unspent funds, so you want the unspent funds to go back to the reserve?
There are no unspent funds. Corey's over budget. Now, not over budget in the numbers that he was allocated. He is over budget because we told him to cut 10% and he did not.
Okay.
So he has no extra funds. Corey doesn't understand, and I know we've talked about this together, Mike. We had Harold Blatty come to two or three times to give budget training specifically for Corey.
At least twice.
At least twice. He walked out on one because he didn't like what Harold was saying. We've invited him to Mako budget trainings, we've invited him to Department of Administration budget trainings, and he refuses. Corey has an idea of how the budget works and he is wrong, period. We do bottom line budgeting. What you're looking at here is line item budgeting. The two are vastly different. I don't know if this comes from the state, but this is not how we do it at the county level. So when he looks at his budget and he sees that one line item is less than he was allocated to spend, that doesn't mean he has a savings. You have to look at the bottom line and take the entire budget as a whole. So that the breakout, I haven't spent much time on it, but it is inaccurate, and it's an inaccurate proposal.
So, but he's got this publicity subscriptions, 4,500, and that, we've already addressed that issue, right?
Right.
That's the law library, and we've taken that money out of PIP.
Correct, yeah. And so this is, yeah, he's included it in this line, that's fine. Yes.
Is it going to be necessary for me to sit through this budget discussion?
You need to suffer through it just like the rest of us.
No, seriously, if you need me for something, I'll come back then. It's not a good use of county.
I agree.
All right,
2918?
yes,
Okay,
9218.
9218.
Yeah,
Yes.
whatever,
Thank you.
all those numbers anyway.
Thanks, Ann.
Got the chair wrong.
Here's my budget, Plan A.
Yeah,
Got it.
he wanted to change, so I didn't change. So,
Well, You can go back to me briefly.
We have never left a budget
Around.
unsupported,
That's why I asked him,
Um,
because he was there just. as
but
I
if we
was
don't
coming
start
down here.
somewhere solid,
He was
we
checking
are
mail.
going to be seriously,
But he's in the chat.
So where's he at in line of being froze for last year? Is he froze from last year then? Minus the 18?
I am trying to figure that out right now. I think, 750. And if he's allowed not to be frozen, who else is allowed not to be frozen? Again, it goes to everybody. He's got some line items that he froze and called it good. Hello, Debbie.
Hello. I got some stuff down, things that we need to work on. Here's, quote requests for this year, so it shows kind of what we have left with current cash. I matched it to our reports. We kind of have an idea when we get our money, what we have left to play with, provided we get it all. And then here's 18-19 requests that we're spending on.
Thanks, Debbie.
And I had most everybody's budgets entered. I got public health and sheriff's
Thank
budget
you.
and Cora's budget last minute. I did manage to get public safeties in before I came downstairs, but I didn't get a chance to do anything with Cora's or public health yet. So I did print off our preliminary budget reports. So you can kind of see, I don't have, where we're at. There's revenue. Good our budget prep. So you kind of see with what we have, so you see what we need to work on.
There's, he's 1.0, so 1.0%, so he's halfway there.
And Doug did get a lot of the tax and interface done. So we've got a fairly current cash report. Not too many in the negative, which is good. Was happy to see that. And then kind of where we're sitting with our expenditures, minus the wages. I didn't put anything in. There's been a lot of talk about different ones, and I didn't want to put things in 10 times and have 10 different reports.
Sure.
So we kind of, on a preliminary basis, let's go with this type of thing. So here's our expenditures to date that I have. It's not complete, but that's what we'll be working with. I want to look at stuff, kind of where I'm going with it. Hopefully. I didn't forget something. And one thing too, we were supposed to put our audit stuff on the letterhead. So I put it on there with our response, but I thought it needed a response by all or inputs.
Yeah.
So in the yellow. And if we need to remember what our findings were on those two, I did have that. I kind of basically agreed with their recommendations, but there might, I didn't know what more.
My only suggestion to this, Debbie, I think your responses are perfect. I would say line items for you to sign as well as the three of us.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that part because it was just a,
Yeah,
because I had to make changes.
I think that's,
I just cut and pasted.
again, like Bob said, simple and to the point. I think you hit it.
Amazing some of the things you find when you start working on budgets. found a couple of receiving errors for this year, going through this, that I was able to kind of say, Doug, what's going on here? So, hopefully, those are the things when you have time to look at a report that kind of jump out at you, that things don't, they're not where they should be. That you start digging and find mistakes. Just transposition of one number can do it.
Sure, sure.
You know, I even missed it until talking with Doug and went, oh, wait a minute, because he brought copies over. So, and there's still revenues, I'm still waiting on from some people. So I'm going to send an email because I think some people forgot there was revenue side of their budgets.
Sure.
Because Julie commented, I didn't get anything. Oh, I think I sent it all in the beginning. Oh, well, I'll go back and look. And there it was. So, if she did that, I'm sure others did.
Sure.
I'm gonna send them just a reminder to look, because that is part of what they need to watch for.
So can we just start at like the beginning of revenue and go from there?
Mhm. I know there's some things you guys are responsible for that nobody else is. I did find out their entitlement came in, it's a little lower
You want that back
than last year, yes.
Are you guys good with those answers? So we can all sign it together?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will add that.
You see any alarm bells with the commissioners?
Oh, well, with revenues, there was some that,
Oh, are we on revenue then?
oh, that one. Do you want to do expenditures first? I don't care.
I don't care either. All right, revenue. Do you wanna do expenditures then if it's easier, or?
Well, there's just a
Okay.
couple questions. Do you know anything about the Taylor Grazing Act this year? Have you seen anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Because it hasn't come in yet, which is 333020.
I
Code.
thought I'd seen that come through a meeting.
We've got 538, but I don't know what this year's amount is gonna be anywhere, so,
Okay.
and I don't remember where we got that, to know if we aren't getting everything.
Okay.
And I printed these reports off.
Were you talking about that Taylor Grazing Act?
Mhm.
That came through.
Did they say
Couple
how
weeks ago, I
much they were gonna,
believe.
but for this year, do you know how much they're gonna budget for it?
No, I don't remember, but I remember seeing it come through. I can't remember what the amount was.
Because what revenue we got this year, we budgeted 741, but we got 538. So it was lower than we budgeted, so I didn't know how,
We'll have to find that for you. It's probably in the basket of commission work to be filed.
okay.
So to do on that.
And then the FEMA grants for this year, do we know of any upcoming that have been put in for? I know we've kind of got 27,000 out there, but I think that's more with some of the emergency stuff.
There's everything I know of is last fiscal year,
Okay.
or this fiscal year.
Okay. And let's see.
And you said Doug did interface,
Revenues, mm-hmm.
okay. The property taxes look a little bit shy,
Yeah. They are.
yeah.
Is that because of non-payment or because of protest?
Oh, I haven't had a chance, and he's gone this week to ask him. And he's gone this week. And it might be some of them paid late, missed the deadline. So he interfaced what he had as of May 31st.
It's a 8.7% loss,
Yeah, which
okay.
kind of ties with that 10% that history was showing, give or take, so maybe not.
Okay,
I think,
you got entitlement share at the 316?
yep, that's what we're getting this year. That's our part.
They froze an entitlement share has always had a, by statute, a 3% built-in increase, cover inflation. Last session, they decreased that to 0.05%, for the,
So there's 316 is
years.
what we're actually getting.
yeah. The reason that it's showing short in the actuals for 18 is that their, last payment is usually after the fiscal year. So that's just not showing yet, but we do collect that info.
So who, is this state entitlement, is that all, is that the stuff that goes to the general fund and public safety and roads also have state entitlement? Or do their shares come out of our state entitlement?
Well, that's the one where we divvy up, where the county divvies.
So we gotta do this 316.
No, that's just the general funds amount.
Oh, okay, okay.
So a certain chunk goes to each of those, like you were saying, yeah.
So, just educational question, is that state entitlement money, is that for taxes on state ground or school district ground, or, I mean, I guess I just don't know why we get it, so.
It's lost property tax revenue due to the redirection of a number of different revenue streams for counties and states. And it changes every year depending on the revenue stream. So the main thing was properties. There's been motor vehicles that they collect. There's another year that was, they applied growth.
So it's just a kind of
It's a melting pot.
yeah, it's kind of
It's kind of a lack of other things. 2016 House Bill 33 was expanded mental health crisis intervention.
Hello?
What are you looking for?
You could have said hello.
I don't know.
So that's what it is. There's a list of all of the history of it. In 2018, the growth rate of the entitlement shares reduced by 1.87 for all local governments. So instead of the normal getting the full growth of average of 3%, they're reducing it, the growth, and only giving counties 1.87 of that growth, which is less than has been in the past.
So there's a shocker that the state's holding back.
So then it reduces what we get to distribute
Yeah.
amongst everybody. And in the past, the county has distributed across the board, and it just slowly gets narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow to the point it could go to the general fund, whatever the commissioners deem fit to balance their budgets. And so this is just kind of, I plugged in here what the percent we did last year of that growth. I thought I had my worksheet. So this year, the total is like $562,000 something dollars. So that's just the county's portion. So everybody got a little less of the percent, because it went down a little bit,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So anybody who had entitlement last year has that line item already filled in based on what I got Friday.
Okay.
It's dumb, but. So those, that's that. And so I haven't filled in any of the rest of the property taxes yet. Because it's not all there. So we haven't theorized with growth and enter it twice and miss somebody and get the wrong amount, so I haven't put anything in there.
Sure.
I just worked on those that people knew they were gonna have.
So then community service at the very bottom there, everything else looks like it was put in with fact, with information. Any feedback from Kirk? He's got 0.
Yes,
Our,
he's
he's
basic,
taken over that program. Can we
Yes.
expect more than 0?
he didn't think so. So we're not
How's-
gonna have the interlocal, he doesn't anticipate too much of the revenue. He didn't even know how we was able to get so much, because she counted them and made
She
him pay.
She worked the job.
So unless he said he gets a bunch of minors in possession or something, he doesn't see the fees going up.
Is this from, is the fees, that $25 fee, is that from community service, is that paid to the state though, or is it paid to the county?
To the county.
It is to the county, okay.
He says there's a lot that are out of county that go with Lewis and Clark,
Mhm.
so that's why they come here and get in trouble, and then they go home and have to pay it all there.
It's hard to see though.
Yeah.
1355 was collected in 2015. 907 was collected in 16. 1140 was collected in 17. $390, less than in 1997, 8 and 9, was collected in 18, and now we're saying 0. That does not equate to everything else we've been told. 0 is, this is not a program that is chosen to be worked, and fines are chosen to be levied on those who are breaking the law at the misdemeanor level. We've had a number of conversations about this. If we take one thing we've done in the past, Mike, and again, you know, I will wear the hat as the most conservative in the budget, but if we take the average, which we've done in the past, what you'd be looking at is inserting a revenue requirement of $948. That's the 4 previous years averaged. In my opinion, there is absolutely no excuse for no revenue in that line item. It's a viable program. It is one that just needs to be carried from what it was built to be. So I guess my question is, do you want to put 948 there, or do you want to leave it as 0? And again, what we do for one, we do for all.
Didn't he say that the other day we were talking to him, he had something like $900 or something coming in for, was that just unpaid fines? Didn't he the other day when he was here, we were talking about that, and he said there was something that hadn't come in yet.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was community, that was in community service, that was just fines, was it not?
There's some fines that are imposed by the state, and there's some fines that are imposed by the county, and those are a little bit more discretionary. I don't know which bucket he was talking about.
I think they're coming out of the 50/50 shares or civil fees under 35,000 items.
And those are not
When we were looking
discretionary,
at stuff
those are
before.
set.
On the reports and stuff that he handed out
I
before.
would think we should take that average and put it in there.
I would feel better if we did, because everybody needs to do their job. It's as simple as that. And if we let one person put in 0, everybody gets to put in 0. Then where's the budget? It does look like from Corey's letter that the city is going to cancel the interlocals for community service and the county attorney. I haven't heard about justice court. Have you heard anything? So I guess those are 0 then.
Mhm.
And then have you heard anything, Debbie, about any of those?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Was there an indicator why? I guess I understand the community service, that's been a topic, but the city attorney one?
East Helena is our same size, even though it's in a bigger county. Same population, because they have their boundaries set. They pay $40,000 a year for their contract county attorney, who's a private attorney. There is somebody coming to town from Bozeman, and at the last city council meeting before this past one, apparently there was a conversation about, them going that direction,
Oh, with Peter,
right?
I think it's Peter.
Yeah, so if it helps bring an attorney to town, that's great. But as of July first, they've got no attorney, period. They could easily find themselves paying a lot more than the interlocal, is my concern, but I'm not a city councilman.
Yeah, well, ours is, I know ours has got a two-year cutoff period. So if you say that we're not gonna do this, it's still there for, isn't it, right, two years, and then they're on their own? But
Yeah, well, there's some conversations that have to happen, but yeah, then there's like a weaning off kind of period for 2 years.
we just don't walk away, but I just didn't know if that was the same case, but.
Yeah, ours is a walk away, so,
See,
Interesting.
I think they're walking
Last time
away.
I talked to Mike, he said that he was gonna bring this community service back up.
that's what he said in our working meeting,
Yeah.
about all of them, and then we got that email from Corey, and I haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, he said that the community service, he was gonna bring that back up during their budget discussion, so there may be some kind of,
Okay,
I can't say how much.
if there is, that obligates work to be done, because we can't charge them for not doing
Yeah.
any work on our end. So there has to be a marriage there that's give and take. So Justice Court, you haven't heard anything.
No, he just gave me his expenditures, so that's why I wanna send out that email. 'Cause A lot
Okay,
of people turned in their expenditure side, but no revenue side.
so maybe a
So-
TBA on that one,
Yeah.
okay.
You know, and looking at this year, what we received versus what he budgeted is 10,000 over. So we went with,
For which one?
for Justice Court, 351011. So there's been a lot of extra there. So that's where there's some latitude in there. I don't know if there's gonna be more, less. If he doesn't know, so.
Yeah.
He's thought about it, so that's where I need to follow up with him and get his.
And if he doesn't give you a number on that, I'd suggest that we do the 4-year average again. At least gives us some place to start. Board of Health should be the 5689. And then also the LAC, that's no longer coming out of entitlement share, so we have to pay that. And that's the Local Advisory Council for Mental Health, and it is about 5,600.
Are they still meeting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got a house. They have a house now, so they're having a lot of peer support, cooking classes.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
I haven't
doing
got
great.
anything from them in months, so
Yeah,
I didn't know they were still around. Because
yeah.
I'd be, after last week, I'd really like to, you know, we ended the week with 8 attempted suicides, 1 completion. So it was, I thought they were gone, because I haven't gotten any emails, so.
Yeah.
Is Mike still part of that, or is it?
Mary Ellen is the chair
Oh,
now.
is she? Okay.
Yeah, and so I think some emails just maybe dropped off
Okay.
in the transition.
I'll reach out to her, so.
Yeah.
I didn't know they
Perfect.
were still here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, okay.
So that, does that, from the grant, where does that?
we're just
Do-
what?
Do they get grant money from somewhere?
Mm-mm. No, we pay into a cost share with 11 other counties. And that was what used to come out of entitlement share, and then last session, the legislature took that out and said it's up to counties again.
So they just, do they pay once a year?
Yeah,
Okay.
we pay them once a year. Oh, so it wouldn't be, well, we have to put the revenue in to have the money to spend, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure we got any yet for this year.
well, we have to put it in from PILT,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah,
And so Pilt's 5,000?
56.
5,600.
Oops.
So same for this year then?
Yeah,
As
I
last
think
year?
so.
Okay.
I haven't got a notice yet.
Okay. I've missed that one.
And the county health nurse, I don't see, Is that, did she also miss her revenue?
She just turned her stuff in like 5 o'clock Friday night.
Okay,
So I haven't entered hers yet. Hers and Corey's are the two budgets I haven't got in here yet.
okay, no worries.
And she's kind of waiting on me to get the journey on, so probably about the same this year as it was last year
Okay,
in our conversation,
okay.
now that she kind of has a better idea what's going on.
Rents and leases will be 0 with Department of Revenue leaving us. What is the other miscellaneous? Is that grant?
No, that one was a separate line item. That we put under 337-100, the FDA Food Retail Program grant. And Julia did give me that, and it's 5,500 for this year.
Okay, so
That,
this,
I'm trying to think. That might have been the transfer in from the sheriff's office.
oh, for maintenance. Okay, so that'll be a 0.
Because it would have gone to general fund. Oh, no, I put it there instead of transfer.
So, to bring you up to speed, the, Corey's repaying for his overpayment in his salary. Has he paid all 3 years
No,
yet? Just the
The
one?
last fiscal year.
So we need 15 and 16 to be repaid.
Mhm.
To offset his loss of the $18,000 for the interlocal, we talked earlier about one of those payments should be about $7,800 per year, so one of those should go into the general fund. And then we'll have to address that for next year at that time. And then I think he wants the other one to go into the Barris fund, and I'm good with that if you are,
Yeah.
okay?
Did you get, since you brought bars, did you, everybody probably saw the article in the news.
Yeah,
It didn't read quite right. So, one of the things with the way that is that, so, with his condition that he has, it's treatable. And so they're saying that he will be fit. So they've given him 90 days to develop, Warner Springs them to develop a treatment program for him, and then he's been ordered to comply. We already know he's not gonna comply. His attorneys have already said he's not gonna comply. So they're gonna have a hearing in 90 days, and then what that'll do is the judge will say, you know, they're gonna have their arguments about whether or not he should be involuntarily medicated or not. But there's 4 or 5 cases that Brant Light has found that these situations, similar case, same demographic of mental health condition where they've been medicated, treated, and were taken to trial. So that they're feeling pretty confident that this is a good course of action that way. The downfall is, and in that it said that he faces a death penalty. He won't, because the Supreme Court of the United States does not allow you to execute anybody with a known mental health issue. So really that comes off the plate, so we're back to a life without parole type situation, I think. I don't know how you're gonna squeak by the death penalty with the mental health issues that he's got. So I think that'd be an appealable process fairly quickly, and so I don't think that's even part of the discussion, but it was in the article, and it's kind of one of those that, in my mind, from what I understand of the law, it's no longer a viable option. So it does change the dynamics, and then I think that really, when it comes down to it, I see that this is gonna change how this proceeds quite drastically. I don't know if we're gonna have quite the fuss that we had prior to. So, I mean, it still doesn't cost us anything, but I just don't know if it'll even find the inside of a courtroom without a plea bargain. So, that's kinda how I feel about it,
So is he now the state's responsibility?
He's gonna be at the state hospital, and I believe, DPHS is footing the bill for him now. So, once he's found fit, then he'll go back to Missoula, and go from there. Maybe they'll keep him at state hospital and just make sure he doesn't change off of that. But You know, still to this day, Missoula County has never charged a dime for their transports or housing him. So, I believe in their letter in regards to assisting with the prosecution, I think that was one of their things that they said, we're gonna house and transport him and take care of him and not charge you guys for it. So we've done, you know, that saved us a lot of money when you start talking. I think they're about $78 a day, over there, so, and he's been there for, what, 13, 14 months now, so, it's, we've definitely got some cost share savings on that in a huge way, so. But I just wanna let you know that the article was somewhat deceiving, and there was a lot of people that got pretty up in arms, they thinking that he was gonna walk away from this. And so I know everybody probably read it, but it just didn't read quite right, so,
Thanks, Win.
yeah.
And that's pretty much it for general fund.
All right. I see you are probably still working with Marianne Road and Bridge, right?
Yeah, she submitted road budget. She hasn't done any of the revenues yet. She's still working on those. She was working on weed. We've got solid waste done.
And she gets a bias, she's new.
And so she's waiting to catch up with me to help her with that.
Okay.
Or those, or whoever to help her with. She's been sending me emails, so I've been helping her best I
Cool.
can
All right.
with what I know. So that's why there's nothing on those. Do we know anything on the predatory animals or predatory sheep yet? Sheep or cattle?
No,
Okay.
I thought we had got those two, but I could be wrong. We get so many that they
Mhm.
start
Mhm.
blending.
Of course, I don't have anything from Jessica on revenue. She was working on, she told me she'd be working on it this weekend. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to send a reminder, did you forget me? An airport, I verbally talked with Mike Ferguson, and he said basically do the same thing we've been doing. So I have his verbal just to budget the same amounts,
Okay.
because he has no clue. Bulk revenue, and of course expenditure's a little wonky yet because they got some grants and things that I have to amend, so those are still some things I'm trying to get cleaned up.
Okay.
But budget-wise, he gave me his verbal to take care of it, because he's like, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Okay. And I know Joyce was trying to help with Al on some of the claims,
Okay.
and I don't know how far that got. They were trying to get Jessie to do it, and I don't know if she's willing, able, or wants to.
Okay. So it looks like we have a few holes, but our good sheriff did his bit. Thank
Actually,
you.
the undersheriff did, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Under Sheriff.
Well, they're coming, they're just a little slower. The
Okay.
other one I had a question on is our liability insurance.
Mhm. What source?
Source, and what was the amount?
164. Went up. And I would say same source being Pilt. If we lose Pilt, we'll have to find it in the funds, but this year we're trying to rebuild reserves. We don't have it in the funds unless we take away reserves or cut more spending, which, you know what, that's what Pilt is for.
Is that the liability through Mako? I'm just wondering, you know, we put those mobile eyes in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just wondering if we're seeing any, part of that was, part of the selling point for us was that it was supposed to help reduce that cost, and it's not happening.
It's, a lot of it was the hail
Oh,
storm,
okay,
but it's a 3-year rotation, so
okay,
I believe that it will, but
Okay.
we won't see it for 3 years, 2
Okay.
years now. And they did talk about that in their meeting with us,
okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, I was just, you know, like,
Absolutely.
we're trying to play nice, and, you know, I guess we're looking for the carrot at the end of the stick as well.
Right?
You know, we're doing this to try to reduce costs, because they've gone up even that deductible's gone up here in the last few years, and so, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't realize it was on a 3-year cycle, but.
And what would be good, Win, is to extrapolate what that Mobileye is, and then actually funnel that savings to your department, and then just keep paying the insurance, so.
It'd be, you know.
Remind us in 2 years.
I was hoping, what I was hoping for, and Mako didn't wanna foot the bill for it, cause it's expensive, and I can appreciate that, you know, because Mako's buying the units, but the data collection off of it was only a pilot program, so they only did it for a certain period of time, but in realization of what, you know, one of the things that I think I talked to you guys about was that Vision Zero of trying to reduce the amount of law enforcement accidents and deaths based upon things you can control, speed, vests, guns, things of that nature. And kind of taking away that data collection point kind of takes away that ability to have something to go back and review to see what driver behavior your staff has to try to curb those issues. So I was, you know, he told me the price on it, and okay, I can appreciate that, but it'd been nice if, you know, to have it for a period of time, at least get a baseline of what's going on, you know, especially when you have, you know, most of the data they collected was when we were short vehicles and people were hot seating cars, so Lord knows who was driving the car at any given time, and their driving behaviors are completely different, but, you know, maybe in the future, you know, we'll see, but I think it's, there are some benefits to having it. I mean, it's, and they're supposed to be coming out next year with one that's supposed to detect animals in the roadway, so that will save us money.
Right? Oh,
So I think we spent what, almost 10 grand last year in deductibles for hitting deer. And they just, I mean, you know how they are, they just come smoking across the road, or you know all you can do about it, but
no.
yeah, if we can get that, maybe it'll help, so.
The other one was library. Haven't seen anything from them yet. I did send a request to both Angela and Mr. Wilkerson.
No response?
I got no response.
Okay.
So I don't know if they hadn't met yet or anything, or if it didn't go through. I'm not sure.
All right, we should probably put in the same numbers as last year if we don't hear from them. But I expect we will very soon. They're usually on top of that, but with everything going on, it's possible that they're just a little bit late.
Okay.
Did we get this, we got the school budget, that should be in there too,
Oh, yeah, see, if it's in the school budget,
right?
then yes, it would be.
If I can, there's one that the state's working on right now, and I don't know if I brought it up to you guys or not, in regards to autopsies. Did I bring that up?
You did as an ancillary or a preliminary, did it
Okay.
have something?
So, Scott Larson sent out a couple things now. They're trying to figure out, you know, that steady source of income as well. And so they're, part of their board and their group is looking at, saying, okay, this is how many autopsies this county averages every year for this many years. So then they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna have you pay, like for us, I think it was a cost savings for us, it was like $9,500. So we would pay $9,500 that year, and it didn't matter if we did, the only downfall is it doesn't matter if we did one autopsy or if we did 25. It was $9,500 a year. So the other counties that obviously do more are gonna pay a higher amount on an average part because they always do more. But that might change how we, because right now we do it, it's, I believe it's a CIP for autopsies, and so it might change. And I don't know, I haven't got another email from him in a week or so, but that was kind of where they're trying to go, is doing a standard autopsy fee for each coroner's office. So it might change what we look at, it might not. And I don't know if it'll happen this fiscal year, but I know they've had a lot of conversations about it. So we might have a reduction in what we allocate for autopsies as of right yet.
Nice.
The only other thing that I couldn't get a firm answer on was whether or not the crime lab was gonna start charging for the blood tests and the UAs and stuff like that to process those. I didn't get a firm answer on it. You know, it's been a topic of conversation. They just don't know if they wanna go down that path. So it's a talking point, but that's all it is at this point. So even we might see, if they go down that corner or that autopsy fee, we are gonna see a reduction. If they go with the other fee, we might see an increase. But that'll be from the patrol side as well as from the coroner side. So there's gonna be a little caveat on both ends of that. But I'm hoping they avoid the fee part. And I know there's gonna be some backlash, or there's gonna be some protest from like Yellowstone County, Missoula County, Cascade County, the ones that do a lot of autopsies. Because they actually took a pretty significant increase. And so, I know there's gonna be some push and shoving in that. So I don't know if it'll happen this year, but we've had 2 conversations about it already. So it's there. I just wanna let you guys know that it might have, in August, we might have something that changes the whole perspective. But we will then get one big bill at one time that we have to take care of. Another than that, we'll be fine. So,
Okay.
okay,
Well,
so,
Thank goodness for budget amendments. With the ambulance, now that they've got their new ambulance, I didn't know, we've been doing this for so long, it's a change this year. So I wasn't sure, they still want to put X amount per year for the next 10 years,
it's
or let
been,
it go this year.
well, it's been going for so long that, I think we need to continue the savings account to the degree that we continue what we can talk about with Bill.
Okay. So any amounts to start putting it into again?
I would say the same amount, because it's based on mills. So, yeah,
And then any PILT transfers, because I know we've got those designated mills for the ambulance, which, we've been trying to do about 10,000 a year, but it's averaged more like 7,500 a year with the bills that
For-
aren't paid.
for
With
which
the
one?
ambulance,
What about it? What'd you say?
PILT funding, anything like it has been.
Can we do PILT when we're done with revenue?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not good at jumping around.
Just going down my list. We're doing that.
Do we have any more revenue to talk about?
Just whatever other departments, I don't,
I agree with the undersheriff's numbers. I don't have any questions there. Do you, Mike?
No, the only other thing on revenue was that we had that 4-H building in there, we're not gonna receive any revenue from that, right? Because we're moving out of there.
We have, is there a line item for revenue? Cause I don't even know if she started that yet.
346101,
are you talking about the ambulance warrant?
yeah,
What page is that, Louis?
it's on page 6, on revenue. And then there's also another line in there for,
Okay, so the 4-H building under fair, that stays the same. They do manage that.
so they will still,
But that's not the ambulance barn meeting room, is that what
the
you're asking
meeting-
about?
but are they still gonna, is the 4-H still gonna run that? Because that's where the heat's coming from.
4-H hasn't actually been running that. It's been Extension that ran that. And I do not believe they ever implemented it, and I don't see a line item for revenue. So, that will actually go to the district board. And we should ask Allison to share with the district board what they were proposing. Because you're right, whoever uses that building needs to be paying for that heat.
Okay.
Because it's really a nominal fee to keep those ambulances at 50 degrees. It's the 85 degrees all weekend that's been busting the budget on that. That's not true, that's a piece of it. But keeping the offices at 75 degrees, Monday through Friday, is a whole lot more of a heavy lift monetarily than ambulances that just need 50. And the district will also start paying the water, sewer, and lighting district for the city. Anything else on revenue, Debbie?
From you, your sobriety program,
Mhm.
I give you that separate fund.
Mhm.
What do you want me to put in there
What do you mean?
as far as revenues?
Oh,
What we've kind of got in the past, out of public safety?
well, I'm trying to I talked to Seth about it, I wish he was here today, because he was, you know, we had, that fluctuates so much. And so I didn't get to see the numbers of what he had last time. We only had like 2 or 3 that were actually on it. 3-year average is 37, 85. It was 21. So, you know, why don't we do 25 and see how it goes?
Okay.
Unfortunately with that, there's SoberLink, there's Scram, they've got all these new ones out there to where they don't have to walk in the door.
Okay.
And so a lot of people, just as a non-inconvenience part, they're doing the SoberLink. If I could figure out a way to manage a SoberLink system, I would probably go down that road, but I also don't wanna pay for an expensive item to have someone destroy it and then have to figure out how to replace it, so. But if we just probably do 25, we'll probably be just fine on that, I would think, and that's just but I know we were down to like 2 or 3 people that were on it. And some of our guys that were on it are now sitting in jail for their sentence, and they're off to watch, so. I
So
took
far
away
this
the-
year was 39.25.
Yeah, we had quite a few there for a while, and then they've been sentenced and off to watch, so, they're not sticking around long, from their sentence date. Maybe 2 weeks and then they're out of here, so.
And I don't have letters from NBAC or BCDC for our economic development,
Okay,
so I know,
what we
BCD
agreed
has
to
been-
on that, yeah, we can just communicate with them, email would be fine, but
okay,
what we decided for funding for that is to take it out of the Wheatland turn lane repayment, because that was actually revenue realized because of them and their work, and they never did charge for it. And then to reserve that particular fund for economic development.
okay. I think that's probably all of them,
All right.
for the most part, that I think you guys have anything to do with. Or that's, oh, Brandon, 911, do you know what 911 is gonna do for revenues this year? You heard anything? Okay.
I don't recall ever even putting that anywhere last year. I think it just kinda comes in.
Yeah, it's, well, Doug gets it, usually, cause they do the electronic transfers.
Oh, okay.
But somehow we've always come up with budgets.
Well,
So,
and that's,
I didn't know
maybe I
where we
didn't have
got
it in
that.
my sheets, but I don't even know where I budget for that at.
That's a separate fund, 2850, so there would have been some sheets. As far as expenditures and revenues, cause there's 2 different ones that they have that we got this year. So, I just wondered if you heard.
I'll come see you and I'll talk with Doug and then I'll call them.
Okay. Is that something Rhonda usually would know? Or the gal that contacted 911?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember